It's only day one of the Schumer shutdown, and Democrats are already making fools of themselves. First, boasting on their way out of town that the shutdown was their choice.
We got to make sure Americans have the health care that they need. And if that means we got to shut this government down, so be it.
I thought that was some kind of comedy skit. How did Michiganders elect that goofball? He has zero concern about the disruption to federal employees and other Americans. It's not a good look. Even the Washington Post is warning Democrats about falling into the, quote, shutdown trap, saying that left-wing Democrats enter the shutdown from a position of weakness and that chances are slim that the two parties could ever come to terms that Democratic activists would view as a decisive victory. Yet the party's base wants them to fight anyway, even if it means holding the government hostage. Nevertheless, that is exactly what the Democrats are doing. Hakeem Jeffries is getting outplayed and outmaneuvered, not just on the shutdown itself and the substance issues, but even in the meme wars involving cute sombreros and Mexican music.
It was a xenophobic stereotype, which is why we've heard from many Latino organizations denouncing what took place. I'm not going to dwell on the president's erratic behavior in terms of the meme or the AI deepfake videos. The broader problem is it's deeply unserious. And this is a serious moment. We need to reopen the government. We need to enact a spending agreement that's bipartisan, that actually meets the needs of the American people. And we need to address the Republican health care crisis.
The health care crisis, we're going to get into that, too. Thought Obamacare was supposed to fix all this. But the vice president continues to run circles around them in intellect and humor.
I think it's funny. The president's joking, and we're having a good time. You can negotiate in good faith while also poking a little bit of fun at some of the absurdities of the Democrats' positions, and even, poking some fun at the absurdity of the Democrats themselves. I mean, I'll tell Hakeem Jeffries right now, I make this solemn promise to you that if you help us reopen the government, the sombrero memes will stop.
The sombreros are out if you actually get some common sense. That's a fair bargain. But Democrats are not amused. They're blind to the obvious and deaf when convenient.
Every Republican who's gone on TV the last 12 hours or so has called this the Schumer shutdown. What do you say about that name? Senator Schumer, can you hear me?
I can't hear.
It's like that old commercial from the 70s. Sorry, honey, can't hear you. Water's running. Well, they say hearing is the last thing to go, right? But we know Schumer's hearing is perfect when the woman speaking is AOC, because she's acting like she's the boss of him.
I saw some Republican members of Congress saying, oh, well, if we have this shutdown, it's because of AOC. Well, if that's the case, my office is open and you are free to walk in and negotiate with me directly.
Negotiate with me directly. Okay, boys? Look out, Democrats. That's what I call an intra-party wedgie.
There was a thought from the Republicans that AOC is directing this, and she said that senators are welcome to go to her office directly. Is she driving that?
Why are you saying such a ridiculous thing? She
credibility
is
to
not
that?
Directing this. She's wonderful. She's a real team player and the rest of that. You started by saying Republicans saying that she's directing this. She is not. Hakeem Jeffries is.
When Nancy points that bony finger around, you know she's in trouble. Always the case. It's a total tell. Well, she knows whose side Bernie is on, though. After supporting partisan Democrat cramdowns of unpopular policies during the Biden years with zero Republican support, he suddenly wants everyone to work together in a kumbaya moment, or else.
What you need is a bipartisan solution. What these guys have said, it's my way or the highway. This is the way it's going to be. And that is kind of what Trumpism is about. That's that authoritarian tendency that we're seeing in America right now.
So are you telling me you're willing to vote no every time Leader Thune brings this up?
I am not going to allow.
But Republicans are the ones holding Americans hostage now? Okay. Thune gave Democrats another chance to make this right today, but once again, they've blocked a plan to keep the government open on the liberal side. So if Schumer really wanted to make this happen, he could, but he won't, because he's beholden to the far left and he's scared of a girl.
Buckle up. The Democrats are staging another coup.
I saw some Republican members of Congress saying, oh, well, if we have this shutdown, it's because of AOC. Well, if that's the case, my office is open and you are free to walk in and negotiate with me directly.
AOC's announcing, I'm captain now, and told Schumer to walk the plank. Chuck, did you hear that?
the Schumer shutdown. What do you say about that name? Senator Schumer, can you hear me?
I can't hear.
Senator Schumer, can you hear me? I don't think Senator Schumer can hear me right now. Maybe the government shutdown included audio on Capitol Hill.
Do we even need to hear from Chuck? Because AOC is the shot caller. She told Chuck to shut it down, and he did. He shut it down so he can keep his job.
Chuck Schumer is terrified she's going to get a primary challenge from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. The reason why the American people's government is shut down is because Chuck Schumer is listening to the far-left radicals in his own party because he's terrified of a primary challenge.
The White House posted this picture of Schumer as a hot dog. Don't worry, it's kosher. We also hope Chuck grills dogs better than burgers. Speaking of barbecue, what's up with his hands? Did he burn them on the grill? Democrats don't have a political party, but at least they have a Halloween party. Chuck's dressed as a hot dog, AOC's a pirate, and Hakeem's wearing a sombrero. Nancy didn't get the invite, and now she's rhymes with hissed.
There was a thought from the Republicans that AOC is directing this, and she said that senators are welcome to go to her office directly. Is she driving that?
Why are you saying such a ridiculous thing?
I'm just quoting what AOC said. She said go to her office directly. Do you think there's any credibility to that?
She's not directing this. She's wonderful. She's a real team player and the rest of that. You started by saying Republicans saying that she's directing this. She is not. Hakeem Jeffries is.
Hakeem's in charge. You mean the guy taking shutdown selfies and holding sombrero press conferences?
It was a disgusting video. It was a racist video. It was unbecoming of anyone purporting to be the president of the United States of America. But y'all, I ain't scared.
No one said you were scared, Hips. It's just a sombrero. Democrats called Trump a Nazi and let him get shot in the head. He ain't scared. They didn't demand answers after Butler, but now they want Mike Johnson to investigate Sombrero Gate.
With our leader in a sombrero, nodding with a mustache, and Schumer saying things, of course, that he never said. The speaker said that was not his style. I said, did you call it out? You should call it out for the racist, bigoted thing that it was. And he questioned whether or not it was racist.
What's racist about a sombrero? They're acting like they put a Black Panther cap on them. They've been putting white hoods on Trump's head for 10 years. But a sombrero's racist? It's actually kind of racist to think a sombrero is racist.
Hakeem Jeffries said it was racist, and I know that he said that, and I honestly don't even know what that means. Like, is he a Mexican-American that is offended by having a sombrero meme? And I'll tell Hakeem Jeffries right now, I make this solemn promise to you that if you help us reopen the government, the sombrero memes will stop. And I've talked to the President of the United States about that.
So what we have here is a good old Mexican standoff. Trump will stop putting up pictures of hips in a sombrero if Democrats stop demanding health care for illegals to keep the government running. It's not like Trump didn't let Hakeem pick his hat. Hips could have walked out of the Oval with a big, beautiful Trump 2028 hat. Trump said, come on, Jeffries, Biden wore one. But Hakeem said, red's not my color.
Well, actually, he did not try to hand Leader Schumer and I the Trump 2028 hat. They just randomly appeared in the middle of the meeting on the desk. It was the strangest thing ever. And I just looked at the hat, looked at J.D. Vance, who was seated to my left, and said, don't you got a problem with this? And he said no comment. And that was the end of it.
So if Hakeem walked out with a deal and a hat, we wouldn't be here. Now the government is officially shut down, and no one knows who's in charge of the Democrat Party. So they're running around the Hill banging on doors.
Open the door, Mr. Speaker. Open the doors of Congress, Mr. Speaker.
Transgender congressmen are storming the Capitol trying to find Johnson.
We're barreling towards a shutdown. All my Democratic colleagues are here. I'm going to go search for my Republican colleagues. Republicans, y'all know there's a government shutdown. Republicans, anyone here?
Is Mike Johnson in here? Remember Shri, the 70-year-old Indian congressman that tried to impeach Trump? Well, he just flew the coop and said the quiet part out loud.
Returning back to Detroit this morning after the Republicans failed to show up in the U.S. House, we got to make sure Americans have the health care that they need. And if that means we got to shut this government down, so be it.
Shri's going to be in trouble with hips. Democrats aren't supposed to admit they're the ones shutting down the government. We all know they're shutting it down to give illegal aliens free health care, but they're not supposed to admit that either. But they did.
The amount of money that actually is going towards people who are undocumented is such a small portion of the Medicaid cuts or the Affordable Care Act, if at all.
They went from illegal aliens don't get free health care to, yeah, we're giving them free health care, but it just doesn't cost that much. CNN caught them red-handed. Watch.
They talk about the provisions, and it's right here, subtitle E. And this has to do with the repeal of health care. What you support does bring back funding for emergency Medicaid to hospitals, some of which does pay for undocumented immigrants. Why even include that in a bill knowing that they're going to seize right upon that?
Hakeem didn't answer the question, but Maxine did. No relation. She said Democrats are demanding health care for everybody. Trump and JD, they aren't going to let that slide.
There's a lot of emergency health care at hospitals that are provided to illegal aliens. That was funded by the federal government. The Biden administration gave mass parole to millions upon millions of illegal aliens, and then they simultaneously made those parolees eligible for health care benefits funded by taxpayers.
Biden was waving an amnesty wand and giving millions of illegals free health care. Illegals were going to the hospital to have babies, free. In California, they were able to get sex changes, free. Illegals use the hospital when they have the sniffles, all free. We got fleeced. So Trump closed the bank. A Times poll says 65% of the country thinks Democrats are delusional for shutting down the government for this. Schumer calls it fake news.
The question in that poll is biased. Biased. In the New York Times, but it's biased. If you turn the That's true. I don't always believe the New York Times.
Democrats are getting annihilated in the PR battle. The media won't lie for them, and they don't even know how to meme.
We're also dealing with the social media, which we didn't do enough of, frankly, in the past. And that was a mistake, and we're trying to rectify it.
Chuck has to save face with the base and show he can fight, or else he's going to get cooed. The Democrats are going through the same growing pains that the Republicans went through 15 years ago with the Tea Party and then with the Freedom Caucus. Republicans got rid of Eric Cantor, Boehner, Kevin McCarthy. But the Democrat Party never let the beefs play out. They shut down Bernie. Nancy put AOC in timeout. And they stole the nomination from Biden. The Democrat establishment's on a collision course with its base. Now, these kinds of fights should be done in the primary, when voters decide the winners and losers. But when you do it in a shutdown, both factions lose. Trump's not caving, not for illegal alien health care. The government will reopen. Sombreros or no sombreros, there will be no fiesta. But Schumer will always look like a wiener.
Now, make no mistake, this is Chuck Schumer's shutdown. Everybody needs to understand one very simple, fundamental truth. This goes against every single solitary position Chucky has taken throughout his entire political career. Let's take a trip down memory lane. Here's Chucky over the years in his own words. Take a listen.
What if I persuaded my caucus to say I'm going to shut the government down? I'm going to not pay our bills unless I get my way. It's a politics of idiocy, of confrontation, of paralysis. It's sort of like this. Someone goes into your house, takes your wife and children hostage, and then says, let's negotiate over the price of your house. You know, we could do the same thing on immigration. We believe strongly in immigration reform. We could say we're shutting down the government. We're not going to raise the debt ceiling until you pass immigration reform. It would be governmental chaos. Speaker McCarthy needs to stop letting the MAGA radicals drive his decisions and do the obvious and sensible thing. Follow the Senate's lead and pass a bipartisan CR to prevent this reckless shutdown. We do not want to let a Trump temper tantrum govern our policies or cause the shutdown of a government which everyone on both sides of the aisles knows is the wrong idea.
Oh, a Schumer temper tantrum, political idiocy. Oh, from Chucky. His track record is so extensive, even fake news CNN actually got it right. They confronted him with his own words, past comments that he's made before. But before that, he was asked about the shutdown being called the Schumer shutdown, and lo and behold, right as the audio appeared to go out, perfect timing. Take a look.
Every Republican who's gone on TV the last 12 hours or so has called this the Schumer shutdown. What do you say about that name? Senator Schumer, can you hear me?
I can't hear.
Senator Schumer, can you hear me? I don't think Senator Schumer can hear me right now. Maybe the government shutdown included audio on Capitol Hill.
Well, that was a clever line. Anyway, now what you're really seeing here with the Schumer shutdown is a career politician basically selling his soul in pursuit of blind political ambition and a desperate attempt to cling to power. There's no way Schumer can recover with the new radical wing of his Democratic Party. He's hated by them. He will forever remain hated. And he has been exposed to the rest of the country, which in a poll this year gave him a whopping 17% approval rating. Wow, not very high. Now, here's our message to Chucky tonight. Chuck, it's over. You will never, ever, ever be an elected leader of your party again. Your party doesn't like you. The country doesn't like you. Schumer, just like Hakeem Jeffries, leader in name only, completely beholden to the new radicalized wing of the Democratic Party, you know, led by Jasmine Crockett, AOC, the Squad, Crazy Grandpa Bernie, Pocahontas, and political newcomer Zoran Kami Marxist Mamdani, who was on The View today. And by the way, we'll play you some of that train wreck. That's coming up in the course of the show tonight. But meanwhile, the Washington Post editorial board is now rightly warning Democrats that they may have just walked into yet another trap set by President Donald J. Trump. Now, pointing out that Trump now has more authority to choose which agencies to close and what spending to prioritize. In short, the Schumer shutdown may backfire on the left in a massive way. Now, the fact of the matter is Democrats are demanding a whopping $1.5 trillion taxpayer dollars, that's your money, in additional government spending for a mere 7-week period for the government to stay open. So they're willing to hold the country, in Chuck's words, hostage because they want to refund NPR, PBS, want to extend Biden COVID-era health care subsidies, which were supposed to be temporary. COVID's over. But let not your heart be troubled. Elected officials might still be able to collect paychecks while the government is shut down. Take a look at Hakeem Jeffries, very uncomfortable, trying to dodge this question. This is priceless. Remember, they often pass bills that are burdensome on you, but they don't include themselves. They're not subject to the laws they're passing and putting on us. Here's an example. Take a look.
There's been several members of Congress that have asked their pay to be withheld if this shutdown extends. Do you advise Democratic members to do that, or is it up to them?
Yeah, that's a question that every individual member is going to have to make on their own, as has always been the case in the past.
Will you withhold yours?
First of all, that question is not even a ripe one because we're anticipating that this shutdown issue will be resolved well in advance of our next paycheck.
Really? You don't want to answer the question? He wants his check. The heck with the rest of you. Anyway, don't let the left fool you. This is also about your tax dollars funding health care for illegals. Democrats have been lying, trying to deny it. In fact, California Congressman Ro Khanna may have accidentally said the quiet part out loud. Take a look.
In terms of health care, the reality is they're just not being honest. The amount of money that actually is going towards people who are undocumented is such a small portion of the Medicaid cuts or the Affordable Care Act, if at all.
Now, Democrats and their allies in the legacy media mob are working overtime to shift the blame to Republicans. Now, take a look at this exchange between House Speaker Mike Johnson and little Georgie Stephanopoulos. ABC News. Take a look.
The Democratic proposal is designed to prevent millions of Americans from losing their health insurance, losing Medicaid coverage, or paying higher health care premiums. Why are you against that?
That's an absurd statement, what you said there. Let's be clear about what happened last night, George. No, George, let me tell you what happened last night. Everybody can go and review the facts for themselves. 44 Senate Democrats voted to reject a clean, nonpartisan, continuing funding resolution to keep the United States government open. The Democrats said instead that they wanted to give health care to illegal aliens instead of keeping critical services provided for the American citizens. That's what happened, plain and simple.
Here are the facts. The proposal does not provide health care for illegal immigrants. Illegal immigrants cannot buy health care under the Affordable Care Act. They cannot receive health care subsidies. No. Illegal immigrants are ineligible for Medicare, Medicaid, and the Children's Health Program. The Democratic bill does not make them eligible.
It does, actually, because what it does is it unwinds the changes that Republicans put into the big, beautiful bill.
Checkmate Mike Johnson. But one Democratic congressman from Detroit may have undermined this entire strategy with one video admitting that Democrats caused the shutdown. Take a look.
Returning back to Detroit this morning after the Republicans failed to show up in the U.S. House, we got to make sure Americans have the health care that they need. And if that means we got to shut this government down, so be it.
Now, meanwhile, before the shutdown took effect, well, Schumer spoke on the Senate floor and actually criticized the new poll from the very liberal New York Times showing Americans will, in fact, blame the Democrats for the shutdown. And he called the poll in the New York Times biased, drawing a lot of laughter from his colleagues. Take a look.
Now, I know the leader is going to show a poll that says that Democrats will be blamed for the shutdown. There are many more polls that show Republicans are blamed. The question in that poll is biased. Biased. In the New York Times, but it's biased. If you turn the... That's true. I don't always believe the New York Times. You can be sure of that.
So, it's time to give you what you came here for. Harry Potter. Yep, years ago, actress Emma Watson split with J.K. Rowling over the author's views on trans. If you recall, Rowling got attacked for saying the girls' locker room at Hogwarts shouldn't have dudes waving around their magic wands. And while she got death threats, the actors she made rich piled on. But now Emma wants peace.
I can love her. I can know she loved me. I can be grateful to her. I can know the things that she said are true. And that can be this whole other thing. It's my deepest wish that I hope people who don't agree with my opinion will love me, and I hope I can keep loving people who I don't necessarily share the same opinion with.
That's how you know radical trans nonsense is going the way of Joy Reid's career. When Hollywood big mouths suddenly want to be reasonable. No wonder the ancient Greeks considered their profession even lower than telemarketers. But Rowling took that olive branch and used it to smack Emma upside her head. To her, Emma is only coming out because it isn't fashionable anymore. So she's changing her tune like a schizophrenic at karaoke. Remember, Rowling was smeared as anti-trans back when that was as unsafe as having unprotected sex with Hunter Biden. But J.K. stood her ground, while the cast of the franchise she created trashed her. Watson, Daniel Radcliffe, Ron Weasley. They all rode her coattails, making unimaginable wealth at a young age. And when Rowling could have used their support, they chose the mob instead. They had a chance to show the courage of the characters they played, but instead, they sided with the bad guys. Rowling faced death threats, cancellation, endless outrage. But now the culture's changed. DEI is dead. Rosie's gone. Even the dumbest Democrats agree women's sports are for women. What are they going to tell us next? That jock straps are for men? So Emma wants back in, but Rowling is telling her to take her broomstick and shove it, claiming Watson has so little experience of real life that she's ignorant of how ignorant she is. Nice, huh? And it's true. Emma's a pampered white liberal actress who never had to experience any of the things that normal women go through. You know, like failing a driving and math test all on the same day.
A sexist would say.
As Rowling says, Watson will never need a homeless shelter, never need a public changing room, and her public bathroom is single use with a guard standing outside the door, just like Brett Baer's. And these stories are far too real for normal women. In Virginia, this ghoul exposed himself to girls in locker rooms because the law allowed him to, as long as he pretended he was a woman. And he's not exactly, pulling it off. If this schmuck's passing for a chick, I'm Sydney Sweeney. And his name is literally Dick Cox. What more of a clue do you need? His name could have been I Have a Penis Jones. Anyway, in Minnesota, a trans softball pitcher struck out 27 female batters over 35 innings. How dare a man force his way into a sport reserved for hard-working lesbians? Next, they'll make a Subaru with a built-in urinal. But these masquerades don't just harm women, they also hurt lonely men. Just ask Sheriff Grady.
So you order up a prostitute, and that's what you think you're getting. Now, when you look at that, you go, wow, that's pretty rough, but, any port in the storm. And then the next morning when you wake up, you find out this is who it really is. Yeah, we call that Coyote Ugly.
Yeah. Well, they used to call it that. Now it's just Kathy Griffin. But that's real life, which Watson never experienced. She's a millionaire full of privilege, magazine covers, award shows. She probably even dated Leo DiCaprio. But she's 35, so if it happened, it was decades ago. But before fame, Rowling lived the life of the women that she's defending. She worked temp jobs, lived in poverty, divorced, depressed, denied by 12 publishers, rejected more times than Brian Kilmeade at a job fair. And she still wrote the most popular books ever. So Rowling isn't being bitter, she's being vindicated. And now Emma wants forgiveness? Sorry, Emma, you gave that up when you took the easy way out while others put their careers and their lives on the line. Rowling knows what it's like to share the risk. Her whole life was risk, and she never budged. Not for the left or the child actors who made bank off her. Hell, before Harry Potter, Hogwarts were just the bumps on Joy Behar's back. And the fact is, without Rowling, Emma would be misspelling my name on a Starbucks cup. Let's welcome... She talks so fast, her sentences end with a sonic boom. Outnumbered co-host Emily Camacho. He invented the scratch and sniff mugshot. Fox News contributor Paul Morrow. She already hung decorations for the government shutdown. New York Times bestselling author and Fox News contributor Cat Toon. And he invented time travel by knocking people into next week. New York Times bestselling author, comedian, and former Emily, I love J.K. Rowling. I know she's a hardcore liberal. She probably hates Fox News. I don't care. This is an issue where when you share the risk, you put yourself in danger. But the question I have for you is, should she forgive and not forget, or neither?
Ooh. Well, I feel like, as they say, when you don't forgive, it just sits inside of you and sort of corrodes the vessel. So forgive.
Does that feel good?
I don't think so. Not to most of us. So I think it would. I think generally speaking, forgiveness, so I'm told, sort of loosens the burden on your shoulders. I wouldn't know because I really don't forgive anyone. Again, I'm Sicilian, right? I will hate you for the rest of your life. But,
so that pit, you don't feel it because it's your entire body.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like a dead weight.
Yes.
But I think, being that she is an author and a really excellent one at that, I encourage everyone to read this letter she wrote in response to Emma because it just excoriates her
yes.
in such a beautiful way. And she points out, which you've made this point, She's like, I'm sorry, when I was 14, I wasn't the multimillionaire you were. I was living in poverty, writing the book that made you famous.
Exactly.
And the lap of luxury that Emma enjoys, the privilege that she gets to go to single occupancy bathrooms, will never know what it's like to share a prison cell with a guy pretending to be a woman, to know what rape is, to know what being screwed out of a scholarship looks like, to get punched in the face with a male fist. It just, the list is so long. And I like that she put her in her place, but the reality too is that this privilege bubble that Emma has existed in for all these years allowed her to throw those Molotov cocktails at J.K. Rowling. We get all the time, you know, ridiculous comments that hurt our feelings terribly. The amount, the volume that J.K. Rowling has gotten of death threats and rape threats and stalking threats, I don't think we can ever understand, because the millions, the multi-millions of people that had her in the middle of her target, let alone her professional sort of cancellation, an entire exhibit on Harry Potter in Seattle removed her name, the author's name from it. So if I'm sure she has more grace in her body than I ever would, and she can forgive her. But I think from where I sit, a lot of these people deserve to sit in their own sort of shame forever over this.
You know, when I, Paul, when I worked as a gardener, they used to call me Harry Potter. But you are in law enforcement. You're
I had to look at him for that one.
You know, you're in law enforcement, and I think what's weighing on every man's mind is how often when you pick up a prostitute and you think it's a woman, it's a man. Is this a common thing?
That didn't occur to me.
Yeah.
The reason, she's at war, that is, Rowling is at war with the entire cast of these movies. And the reason, I have a theory here, is because the entire cast looks like a 10-year-old boy, including Watson.
Yeah.
They all look the same. And the thing is, if you look at it, the thing is, she came from two major corporate lawyers. She's had privilege that you're talking about from birth. This one's never had a rough day in her life.
Yeah.
As Mark Twain said, your willingness to put up with a problem increases in direct proportion to your distance from it. And the other thing, too, here is that, and, you know, kind of proves that she's never had a rough day, is that it's not a good idea to engage in a war of words with a woman who has sold over 100 million books.
Yeah, that's true.
You're gonna lose, and she's losing this one bet. The only thing I will say about Rowling is, as you say, she is very left.
Yeah.
And there's an element here a little bit, I can't help but go into. She's very courageous for doing what she's doing, because she's put up with a lot, you're right. But, you know, there's an element here of the far left, or even just hyper-liberal, let's say, boomers, created a lot of these Emma Watsons. And we're about to get one as the mayor of the city here in New York.
Good point.
They have grown up in this bubble. They've never had a rough day in their lives, and they're about to FAFO.
Yeah. I don't know what that stands for. I'll ask Dana after the show.
I'll be happy to tell you.
Yes. So, Kat, imagine if you expressed a position strongly, and I don't back you up. Not only do I not back you up, but I jump on the other side of with the haters. Me and Tyrus both do it.
Hey man, leave me out of this.
Yeah, but then you end up vindicated, and I say, hey, let bygones be bygones. Would you let bygones be bygones?
We disagree all the time. So
no, what I mean is, I'm not talking about
like you're cyberbullying me.
No, I'm talking about. Well, never mind. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I mean this whole thing, honestly. Okay, so like this whole thing has been really weird for me, just having like J.K. Rowling is conservative coded now. As someone who grew up not being allowed to read or watch Harry Potter because it was of the devil.
Yeah.
Like, was that anyone else? Probably not. Yeah, my mom was like, there's witches and wizards in this. You can't read this, you can't watch this. So I'm not like one of those millennials that's all nostalgic for it, walking around like I'm a Huffle, whatever.
Yeah.
None of it means anything to me. But it's been very strange that now it's like because of this one issue, now it's all of a sudden I mean, you've pointed out that she's liberal, but a lot of people can't see that. I mean, we've entered
But who cares? This
exactly.
this is the most important issue to a lot of people, including myself. So I don't even care about her politics. I care about this moral issue in our time. It's like from where all other issues flow from. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it depends what segment of that or what aspect of that issue you're talking about.
Yeah.
But
biology.
Well,
If you
I'm
come
all
out
about
against
people living and let living. I'm all about that. I respect
not if they
your
compel
choice.
you,
Live and let
not
live.
if they compel you
I'm not
to
done.
follow their rules.
But when did I say that?
You said live and let live.
But yeah, people can live. I was not done yet. People
Okay.
can live and let live and do whatever they want to do as long as it doesn't impact anyone else. And there's certain times when it's not a zero-sum game anymore, such as in sports and those kinds of things where there are these biological considerations.
I know. I think that goes without saying. I think that we all kind of say live and let live. We're aware this isn't that case. We're like how many years into understanding that it ain't live and let live. It's a mental disorder that compels people to obey a certain ideology that is inherently destructive, both to the person who has it and the people who somehow are obedient to it. Anyway.
I understand that a lot of people agree with you. I just respect any adult's choice to live their life the way that they see fit, as long as it's not hurting anyone else.
Key word there is adult. Tyrus.
Well, to answer the first question, if you and Kat turned on me and I ended up being right, would I forgive you? Kind of.
Thank you.
I would forgive you, but anytime I needed something, I would bring it up.
Yes.
I am more concerned with the sheriff and his messaging. It was very confusing to me because he talked about prostitutes that you order and then you cuddle with them, which is confusing because, to quote the great Charlie Sheen, he didn't pay him for sex, he paid him to leave.
Mm-hmm.
So if the prostitute is staying and cuddling with you and giving you positive reinforcement, is that a deluxe package? Do you ask for that?
Cuddles.
You know, and like, for example, like my wife doesn't cuddle and give me positive reinforcement. Would it be okay then to hire a prostitute for just the back rub and have a great day? I mean, I'm just confused. I didn't know cuddling was part of the prostitution code. I thought it was like, boom, get out, take a shower, cry, ask yourself why you did it, swear you're never gonna do it again, you're better this, and then all of a sudden it's Wednesday again and you're in the mirror going, I swear to God, this is the last time I'm gonna do this.
The voice of experience.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.